Hey everybody, Matt Lawton here, and this is the Astrological Winds channel. And we are going to take a look at the week ahead for the week of May 18th through the 24th. And really, to me, just two big energies or significant energies on the weekly level going on this week, and the one is the new moon, which is on Friday. We have a new moon at 2 degrees Gemini, and the other one is Mercury, now in Gemini, is going to conjunct Venus retrograde in Gemini. So Venus is getting closer and closer to Mercury. They're speeding towards one another like on a collision course. So this week, they will actually conjunct one another on the same day as the new moon, which is Friday. And at the same time, they will both be squaring Neptune this week. And Venus actually squared Neptune prior to going retrograde. So it's actually the second or retrograde hit of that aspect, and it will actually square Neptune again once it goes direct in 5 weeks, and then a week or so afterwards when it starts moving forward again, it'll eventually catch up to Neptune's degree position and square it again. So in effect, what that means is that during the whole Venus retrograde period, that square to Neptune is an energy that is ingrained into that. But first thing this week, on Wednesday, the sun will actually go into Gemini also. So that's going to join Mercury there, which is really strong there. And it's going to join Venus there, which is spending an extended period of time in Gemini this year. And of course, we talked about a little bit earlier in the month, North Node is now in Gemini too, but it's the North Node's way at the end of Gemini right now. So the sun's just coming into Gemini this week. So that will add to the Gemini energy that's going on right now. And that's that same energy I've been talking about the last couple weeks of like collecting a lot of information, educating ourselves, making lots of connections, jumping from one thing to another, not really so much interested in getting like the details, but more like collecting the information right now and trying to like make some kind of plans and stuff. So a little bit on the superficial side. And then of course, when the sun gets into Gemini, a lot of us really like to put on the mask of the trickster or the joker or, that kind of thing. So like a sense of humor and kind of funny kind of stuff can go on, but like also pulling us towards looking at things a different way and finding some truths in there, sorting through all this information and finding what's true for us in our lives. So sun joining the whole Gemini parade. But like I said, let's talk about the Mercury conjunct Venus first. So it will be exact on Friday, and they, like in Gemini, like I said, and Mercury conjunct Venus, usually it's really two main energies that are available and manifest in certain ways when these two get together. And the first thing is that it is a really good time to articulate our emotions through our speech and words really well. It connects the mind and the intellect and with the emotions and feelings, and gives us the ability to actually explain our feelings well in words. So it's really good for like intimate heart to heart type conversations with people that you are close to, and really getting them to know how you're feeling and expressing your feelings. And the other main energy that Mercury Venus brings up is very artistic energy. Our interest in the arts usually goes up. So like if we are artists ourselves, it's a productive period usually, and if we're not, we like to go in and take in art. And in particular, it's art that usually has some kind of words connected with it. So it could be like music, lyrics, poetry, prose, written. So art like that is usually the types of art that really get stoked up, and and at a conjunction, a lot of new ideas. So there may be a lot of new artistic projects that you take on now. So during this whole week, though, there's a square to Neptune going on for both Mercury and Venus. And like I said, with Venus, it's a second retrograde hit. So it's a 3-hit aspect over about a 2-month period. And the hard part about that is, Venus square Neptune, first of all, is not the most difficult square. It's not the most challenging square. It's not something that necessarily is going to shake our world up there in a tough way. But like, what it can do is set up a lot of like self-disappointment in a longer run thing where, whereas on this kind of level where we're feeling a good connection with the people around us who are close to us, and we are looking at our relationships with a lot of them with like what you would call rose-colored glasses on. So what I mean by setting ourselves up for disappointment is ultimately a lot of times what we find out is a lot of what we're thinking about in a relationship with another person is actually what we're thinking about. It's not necessarily the way that person actually is, or not as much as we would like it to be, or try to convince ourselves that it is. So basically, we set ourselves up for our own discouragement or disappointment in loved ones and others when they cannot live up to the values or ideals that somehow we've set up in our own mind and kind of try to pretend that they are. Now, so how difficult is that? Well, it really depends on how attached and to your ideals in these situations are, or how realistically you're looking at relationships and realizing that, basically no one can actually live up to your perfect ideals, not in this world of physical duality. That just is not the way things work. So we're really setting ourselves up for self-disappointment. But the negative part of this, in particular, during a Venus retrograde period, is it can be the kind of thing that pushes us away from people more and more. And the way Venus-Neptune square, or a tough aspect with Venus-Neptune, pushes or separates from people more and more is just by like a dissipation effect, where literally you're just not connecting with those people as much. You're kind of just letting go. And whether you're even aware of this on a conscious level. So like what you may realize is it's like go through a period and realize, oh, I haven't been in touch with this person in like weeks and weeks and weeks. So like behind that may be this like little like discouragement or being let down. And so like ultimately a Venus-Neptune square can lead to separation and loss in relationships via dissipation. And you know, dissipation can be so many things. You know, I mean, dissipation can actually be the loss of a relationship because the dissipation of the life energy of one of those persons that ultimately could even lead to their death or whatever it may be. You know, there's so many different ways that things can manifest. But that being said, you know, you can also, with a Venus Neptune square, have some really beautiful moments with people and with nature and your surroundings. But it is a situation where we have to be aware of that we're doing that we are looking at people through the way we want to see them more than the way they actually are. And does that mean it's, you know, the relationship is like no good at all? No, it's not. It's just like a reality check. And then from there, where do we go? So then when Mercury is squaring Neptune too, and it's in Gemini, where it can be a little bit of a trickster, the truth can become a little malleable. And what we need to be aware of with Mercury and Neptune are square, both in ourselves and in others, is that a lot of misunderstandings can occur because of like the truth not being clearly told or purposely being misrepresented, which, you know, literally deceptions, lies, or even holding back information, keeping secrets. Now, you may have a valid reason for doing all of that. That's not for anyone to judge but you. But the point of all that is it does add to misunderstandings, miscommunications, and once again, it's our own ideals that are let down. So, like when Mercury squares Neptune, once again, you might not directly confront the persons or the situations that you're feeling let down by. It's more of like, just stop putting energy towards it, and it starts to dissipate. Now, Mercury squared Neptune actually will help feed the Mercury in Gemini and Venus in Gemini artistic streak, though, because it gives a very imaginative mind and an inspired mind. But a lot of Mercury and Neptune is inside us. You know, it's not so much projected out. I don't want to say like to the point of like a Mercury retrograde is internal, but it is a lot of like, you know, that disappointment is being processed more inside us. So like, so it is like, you know, still can be like some highly creative connections and stuff, but everything isn't out on the table. So like it's kind of like a, you know, a poker game a little bit. Like, you know, everybody's holding their cards and wondering what you got and what are you going to put down. So I'm only going to show you a little bit of what I got, you know. So it's a situation like that, and it's like, but very, very useful too, like, you know, for like feeding, giving that tension that, you know, that gives you the energy that makes you want to, you know, create something artistically. So, and then it's also, you know, it's also good for the studying of like mysticism, spirituality, creative, artistic type stuff. So like, you know, it is good on that imaginative and inspirational level. So that's, you know, and the exact square of the Mercury Neptune is Friday. So Wednesday, exact second square of Venus Neptune. Friday, the exact square of Neptune Mercury. So in effect, like a lot of this week, you'll be feeling this Mercury conjunct Venus retrograde in Gemini squaring Neptune. All right, on Friday, we've got a new moon, and it's a nice one. New moon at 2 degrees Gemini, tightly trine Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. In fact, I think they're only about 16 minutes of arc away from each other on that trine. So that's really nice. So new moon in Gemini, you know, obviously new moon, new beginnings, new projects. With Gemini, it has a lot to do with connecting with other people and like information that you're sharing, that getting a new education from that information. So once again, and it's interesting too, all this Gemini energy going on, and here in the United States, a lot of the states and people in the states are starting to like move about locally again, which is also Gemini. Gemini is all about our local movement, our movements every day in our local environment. So really, that's part of what people are feeling when they're like, not feeling good about having to, stay home all the time anymore, that they want to start like at least moving in a local way. And so that's part of that too. But so this new moon has this really tight trine to Saturn retrograde, and also Pallas at retrograde, because remember, Pallas, Athena, and Saturn are both retrograde and conjunct in early Aquarius right now. So this is like a really, really potent new moon to like roll up the sleeves and get to work on whatever these new projects that you have, whatever they may be. And with Gemini, it's like more than one project a lot of times. There may be multiple ones, so you may be, jumping from one to another. But like the trine to Saturn basically gives us a really good attitude about like willing to sacrifice like desires and wants, not needs, wants, for like, and willing to sacrifice some of our self gratification for like being focused on a project and like doing what your duty or role in that project is. So like that really, it's just a really, really pregnant or poignant energy of this new moon to do that, to just like really roll up the sleeves and get to work on the beginning of these projects. And remember that Saturn and Pallas too are like both retrograde in the Aquarius. So it's like, I think like we got a lot of the download with the Aquarius of what we want to do to make systems or our projects better, or whatever the next project is, but it's still having to take a step back or two. Like maybe we don't quite have the resources yet, or maybe we don't have all the things worked out, but this is the time to get it going, So like it might have to take, a little bit of a couple steps back in order to build up the strength and the endurance to push it forward, and then once it gets going, it has that momentum. So a really, really good time, because we're really willing to sacrifice and a lot of our own self gratification in order to move forward with projects. So really, really good time to do that. So this is like that new moon. Good time to connect with others. Look at the house that it falls into in your chart, 2 degrees Gemini, and that will tell you the area of your life where most likely you'll be seeing a lot of the activity of that new moon and those projects. All right, that's really it for this week. Some good stuff to work with for sure. Just remember that that dissipation with the Mercury and Venus retrograde with Neptune can be the thing that, if you're going to let things go with certain relationships and stuff, that can be the thing that, continues to create that, that feed that Venus retrograde that could actually lead to certain relationships that are on weak footing, just, ending up not surviving the Venus retrograde period. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm available for all kinds of readings. My email is Matt, M-A-T-T, then H-U-E, 823 at gmail.com. Relationship readings, predictive readings, looking at your stuff for the next year, natal readings, election charts if you need to know the best timing in the future to start an event, horary charts if you have some kind of question it's really emotionally charged in you and you need a yes or no answer, that kind of thing. Fixed star readings. So just if you need any of that help, please get in touch. Otherwise, if you enjoy the Astrological Winds channel, I ask you to just share it with anyone you'd think who would be interested. Thanks so much. And until next time, this is Matt Lawton signing off. Stay well.